Back to my channel. We're working on a 2013 Ford F150 with the 5.0 Coyote motor, and it's got the 6R80 transmission, and this is the STX 4x4. We're going to talk about the misfiring issue in the crankshaft and the VVT issue. All right, as of last week, I went to go drive my vehicle, and it was running fine. But then all of a sudden, I went to go to the store and order some new valve cover gaskets because mine were technically really brittle with over 170,000 miles, and I don't know if it's ever been changed. Went ahead and go ahead and just change them. First of all, after trying to get this side off, but all the bolts and everything were out, this was so sealed on there, it was stuck on there, it didn't want to come off, and there was no RVT underneath this thing besides around the two little notches where the timing chain is. It ended up breaking. So I had to go to Ford excuse me, and buy a brand new valve cover for the passenger side. It was $201 and some change, because the old one was just messed up because it was broke on the bottom where it meets around the gasket. So it did come with the new bolts, and as you can see, the bolts has less bolts. They said they changed the design on it. They don't know it comes with the bolts because they said I needed new bolts, and I'm not paying $23 a piece, but it ended up coming with them. So I ended up changing this side, put the new seal, ended up putting the new seal on there because it came with a new seal and it came with the bolts, so I didn't have to use a seal on that side. And this side's open because the valve cover, I had to do some more work on this side. Well, when I changed the valve cover gasket on this side, because there's nothing wrong with that one and it didn't break, it was easier to get off, I had to put new seals and new VVT solenoid seals on it before I could put it back on. And I also was smart and changed out the coil packs and the spark plugs with Champions. And I know I don't have any problems with my old ones, but since I was already that deep, I just want to change out everything with the miles that's on it. But I did realize before I ended up taking all this off, I took an air compressor and sprayed all this off as much as I possibly can, and dirt got on top of the crankcase between here, and the same for the other side. So I wiped it all out with a soft cloth, got everything out as much as I could. I ended up cleaning everything out, putting seafoam in it, let it run for 10-15 minutes, then drain the oil to get all it go down to the pan. And oil seems fine, no metal shavings, there was no antifreeze in it or nothing. So after that, I put everything back together, and now I had where it said all my VVTs went bad, but my VVTs weren't bad until after I replaced the valve covers and the seals, which made no sense. So I ended up replacing all 4 of the VVTs, all the same brand, they were brand new, and the code went out for those. And the reason why I say that is because the vehicle's running really, really sluggish, like very poor acceleration. When I went to the gas station to get gas, engine light came on, it was running around the same amount of speed. RPMs were normal. No white smoke, no black smoke, no stalling. RPMs were normal at idle. No overheating issues, no antifreeze or oil leaks, nothing. So it ended up saying that now it says that my camshaft position sensor for bank 2 sensor A was bad. So I ended up changing it. And how do you know where that is? It's on the side of the engine that does not contain cylinder 1. This is cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the passenger side. The other side would be 5, 6, 7, 8. So after changing everything, and everything looked good, the code's clear for the VVTs besides the camshaft seals. But bank 2 sensor A is on the driver's side. And the way how I got that out the easiest is that since I had to change out the valve cover, it's a hell of a lot easier to take out the valve cover off to get to the sensors, because then you got to fight from underneath. As you can see, the sensors are right there. The one on the lower end is your camshaft position sensor for your exhaust. The one with the red security clip on it is actually your intake camshaft sensor, and that's actually sensor A. But I went ahead and changed both of them because it didn't really say which one was bad on this side. It just says the camshaft position sensor, bank 2 sensor A, which that does tell you. But if I'm going to change one, I might as well change them all. And it was easier than doing it from the bottom like people say. People say, oh, it's a lot of work. It takes me 20 minutes to take this whole thing off, and only 10 minutes or less to get those 2 little bolts out. But you got to use an 8mm wrench, the socket type wrenches. So I checked everything here. Everything here was tight and good. Nothing's broke or anything like that. Now the only problem is that since the camshaft or whatever was bad on this side, what the computer was saying, it's also throwing off a cylinder 2 misfire, which is this one right here. The only issue with that is I can't get it to go away, because last night it said it had cylinder 1, 2, and 4 misfiring. So after I changed out the brand new coil packs, all the codes went away besides cylinder 2, said it had a misfire. So I put, because this was actually swapping out the new ones with the old ones, and all those misfires went away besides 2. So I end up switching out the old coil pack, the original one back in that in cylinder 2 is still misfiring. I put 3 other ones in there, it was still misfiring. I put the brand new one back in here, still says it was misfiring. So I end up putting the old spark plugs back in that had less than 3,000 miles on them, and it says not a misfire. So I end up putting the new one back in, because they're all the same, which are the champion ones, and it still says cylinder 2 misfire. Now, since this is my first Ford, I don't know, because since the camshaft on this side is going bad, I don't know if it's causing any issues as far as causing the cylinder 2 misfire on this side, because my big boy computer is only stating it's pulling up one code, which is for the camshaft. It's on the top of the list, but then below it says cylinder 2 misfire. So I'm only assuming that maybe this side is because since the cams are not reading correctly, it's because it said it's permanent faulty. It could be thrown off the code on that side, which I don't know. I never owned a V8 with the design of these new engines. I'm not really for sure, but I did put the new sensors in. I getting ready to put the new seals in for the VVTs. Get ready to put it back on and crank it up, or get everything back together and see what she does. So I did unplug the battery the whole entire time when I put those in, but it's not going to reset your cams at all. I don't think the VVTs are faulty because they seem to be working fine. The only thing I could think of, that if the cam situation doesn't solve the problem with the cylinder 2, I'm just going to have to do a compression test and make sure it's got good compression. Because if the compression's anything between 80, like anything under 100, and I know that's got some really low compression, or anything like between 80, 60, that's bad. But I'm not for sure yet. But I know it said the cans are bad, so I just went and replaced them. This side's not bad yet. I'm not having any issues with this side with sensors. I'm just having a problem with a cylinder 2 misfire here, but nothing else is misfiring on this side or that side. So I'm hoping that's the problem. But I did clean the grounds on the computer. I cleaned that ground over there. This has been unplugged. I've been trying to clean all these terminals up for shits and giggles. I did check all the hoses. I did check all these connectors. They were all fine. They're not broke. My only concern is hoping that these connectors that are actually broke for these VVTs, hoping that's not causing an issue, which I don't think it is, because they still go in there snug and they don't just come off. And it's not throwing off any codes, like no circuit codes or anything like that for those VVTs, so I know they're working. It's either that, or I could have something to do with my maybe my fill injector might be acting up. But I'm about to find out. If I hear any clicking from these when I put something to it and put it to my ear, then I'll know for sure. But like I said, no overheating, no black smoke, there's no stalling, no shutting down. Just has a teeny bit of a slow crankage, a little bit, not by much. And as soon as it runs, you can feel it just shaking. It's not shaking bad. It's just a normal misfire shake, like it's a faulty spark plug or a coil pack. But if the cams is causing it, that could, I don't know if that's going to relate to this side. But I will let y'all know what the outcome is here in a couple hours. I hope you enjoyed this video, and y'all have a great one.